Everyone, we're here for American Grit for the AFTERBUZZ after show. I'm ready to get into it. And guess what? Team Noah didn't win this time. Let's get.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
It's not wrong.
I wish they could just like put in like John Cena right now, like popping up out of nowhere.
Oh, we gotta work on that.
Yeah, we really have
to. We're introducing Lem to John Cena's theme song today.
I was a hardcore Cena fan.
This is first time hearing it.
I can't believe this is your first time.
I have no idea.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if John Cena
idea.
remembers me asking for his autograph.
Dude raps his own theme song.
He raps his own theme song.
Yeah.
That's him.
And people like this.
Hang on. We gotta enjoy it.
Hashtag basic.
There we go.
Oh God.
Yep. This is the Marine himself.
Yes. I should get the album for you so you can listen to the whole thing.
Right? John Cena, the trademark?
Yes! Yes!
I think I'm okay.
We're going to make you listen to it on these long nights.
I think I'm okay. I'm just going to work on my intro. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
All right. Because they're terrible today. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Lem Gonsalves here for another episode recap of American Grit. Man, these late nights, boy, I'm telling you.
You know?
You usually got to get fired up. I'm on 3 sodas. So I'm going to hold it together, though. But you can find me always at the Poet Saint all day, every day. But we're back. Guess who's back? All of us. Yvette was MIA, but she is back in the house.
I was training because I'm going to do American Grit. You see this bruise right there?
Oh, yeah?
See
right
that?
there.
Oh.
I didn't let you guys know, though.
That's an American Grit.
Training
bruise.
for that circus.
I see you.
And I got, my shin is like all busted right now.
I got it. I got it.
So, yeah.
But I'm glad you're here, though.
Yes.
I'm glad you're here.
You guys can always find me on Sports and Sass with 3 S's.
3
Is
S's.
it 3 across the board?
Huh?
Did you sync all your social media up? So now it's all the same amount of S's?
Apparently someone had my name on Twitter, so I had to add an extra S just to get the name close to my actual name. So I'm like, who has it? I want to find out who it is. I'm gonna make them delete it.
You're gonna make
them. You didn't come up with that.
You're gonna force them to delete it.
I am. You didn't come up with that. I did.
You know it's just gonna be just an egg with like two tweets and 4 followers.
I know.
Those fake accounts or whatever.
I'll just record it. I'll be like, this is spam.
And of course, everybody holding it down as always on the anchor, my boy Ty Matthews.
What it do, nephew? You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Ty Matthews PMA, as well as various other after shows, including Monday Night Raw, Houdini and Doyle, and Lucha Underground directly before this one. I just got done sitting right where you are.
You did.
Talking Lucha Underground.
Yeah. And now we're talking John Cena hip hop, which is amazing. No. It's
Can't see me?
Can't see.
What is this?
Can't see me.
What does that mean?
That's like right before his finishing move.
Oh, that's
And he,
before he
comes-
drops the fist.
Yeah.
Drops the fist drop.
He does that, and then
he drops it.
I have no idea. Okay.
See, his finishing move used to be called the FU, and then WWE went PG, and now they call it the Attitude Adjustment.
Exactly.
Attitude adjustment.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm going to have to brush up on my John Cena history trivia.
It's like when Johnny LaQuasto finally discovered Google Chrome the other night.
Oh, man, that was such a great moment. So, Johnny LaQuasto, we always give him crap for being a fun dad. He just discovered Google Chrome.
Just discovered the actual Google
He
Chrome
was like,
on the internet.
He was like, I can't believe how much better it is than Safari.
Shut up. He was using Safari?
You know?
What's wrong with Safari?
That's like using AOL or something still. Like,
I mean, I'm not that tech savvy. I just click on Safari.
Still using
right
Instant
there.
Messenger.
Wow.
Get on my buddy list.
Yeah. Does he have a 2-way?
Does he have his away message set up?
All right. Man.
Wow.
We're just going down memory lane.
Yeah.
I know, right?
That's crazy.
Forget about the show. Let's just all
I
go
know.
down memory
With
lane.
the voicemail with the music in the back. Did you guys do that?
Or when you would leave someone a voicemail,
Yeah.
you're just like,
Oh man.
but you would start
exactly.
whatever block it,
Yeah,
so
I'm
they didn't
telling
know
you.
who it was calling. Leaving them
Man.
a
I
secret
remember
love
when I
song.
didn't have call waiting.
Oh, man.
That's how far back that's crazy.
We're going way back.
We're going. This is memory.
I'm kind of ashamed to say I still have a ringback tone. I've been trying to work on that. I've been trying to work
Ty,
on
what's going
trying
on,
to work
brother?
on changing that.
What's
if
the-
you call me, you hear some classic Vivaldi.
No,
you know, it's
you
all
have
right.
that one?
Yeah, it's
Dun, That one?
It originally was Jimi Hendrix, and then that got removed, and then it got replaced with Vivaldi, and it's been that way for literally about 10 years.
I'm gonna call you just to hear that, and then leave you a message clowning you the whole time.
Awful. It's awful.
Like rapping like John Cena. I'm just gonna. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's what we're gonna do.
I'm gonna do this at the end.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, we're actually talking about American Grit.
Let's get into it.
That's what we're here to do. But American Grit, of course, hosted by John Cena. So again, it all makes sense.
We're sort of on topic.
We're on topic. I'm just hyped up on caffeine. So just don't mind me. I don't ever drink soda, and I had like 3 today. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. And then after this, I'm gonna run a marathon.
Exactly.
Because we'll probably be able to go to sleep. But anyway,
that's what the show makes you do. The show makes you want to just go out and run a marathon
telling you,
at midnight.
I mean, Yvette's training for it as
I am.
With the bruises and stuff.
You know, I'm kicking butt and taking names.
There it is.
So, you know.
We get down. All right. So, American Grit, they meet, which I think is cool, on a World War II survival skills training ground. Where do we know exactly where they are location wise?
No, they mentioned Mount Rainier.
Yeah, they mentioned they're like the northwestern.
I'm not sure where
I was never good at geography, so
right. Neither was I.
But
But where's
the Mount?
Yeah, but where's Mount
Rainier?
Yeah.
Let me consult Google. Let's continue.
Okay. We'll find it. Okay. So that's where they're at. And so they talk about the evolution.
Wait, but before we get into that, let's talk about Team Nick being like, you know what, we're kind of okay with Maria going home.
At the beginning?
They're straight up.
Well, there was no excuse for them now not to win.
Oh man.
That's
but Rainier is in Washington.
I knew that it was in Washington. Look, it just came to me.
Boom, there it is.
Magic.
It's spoken. So they're in Washington. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, the weather is conducive to that. I can see that totally. And the foliage.
But
and all
yeah,
that
they were cold blooded. They were like, yeah, we might be better off.
I mean, but realistically, you saw when she went home, they weren't like disappointed at all.
That was like the first elimination where they were like,
well, okay, all right,
we'll take it.
It's fine with us.
Yeah,
not mad at that.
We'd rather have a team of 3.
We'll take an L.
It's kind of like when you know your weakest link goes in. You're just kind of like.
Yeah, we can take that out.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, and granted, it seems like it's typically better to have more people, but I think with her, she wasn't necessarily a weak player, but it was just the attitude and the dissension that she would give. Exactly. And I think that was it. And it was like with her gone, it made it more cohesive group. And I think that's what they were looking at.
I agree with that. And I think too, also that's why they weren't so like distraught, or they were like, "Oh no, you're leaving." It's like, "Oh good, we got the infection out." Great, let's get it out.
She's done. No excuse. So we get to this evolution on the World War II survival skill training ground, and they have to do different tasks. One was build a shelter, purify water, and make fire. But they had choices that they can take. It's kind of like around those choose your own adventure books.
Love them. Absolutely.
Oh man, those are my joint, boy. I used to,
back down memory lane.
Love those.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
So they could either go longer, so take longer to get to wherever the station is, but then the task itself would be easier once they brought it back. Right. Or they could go shorter distance, get it right away, but then the task coming back would be harder. So it was kind of like a gamble.
And
like
they had to make that choice for each one, for shelter, for water, and for fire.
Correct. Yes. And each competitor was tasked a job. Yeah. So that way everyone equally had to participate. Which also, you could talk to them, but you couldn't help them.
Yeah, so if they needed help to lug something, you couldn't. You just had to be like, all right, let's do it.
So that also brought another dynamic to it, which was interesting. So it seemed like on the first one, everyone decided to go the longer route. And Team T, the one that's shorthanded, only 2 people, she jetted out in first, which was cool. And then we also found that 2 people actually were delegated to make the shelter. Team Nick then jumps in first. And then Team Noah, which has been killing it, is in last place.
Yeah, that was nuts.
What do you think happened with their team this particular episode? Do you think it was just one of those?
I don't know. I think it was one of those where like yeah, they might have been in last, like, just at the outset.
Sure.
But, like, they came back just like that.
Well, they did,
and
but
I think that's been the case in a few of the other ones where they kind of
did they have? Because I feel like they've been like like pretty much in first place for the most part. Like maybe they have stepped back, maybe the second.
Right.
I just don't ever remember them being in last.
Yeah,
like
I
for
don't
a
remember
period
them
of time.
being in
yeah,
last.
definitely.
So that's why I was just like, that was interesting that they were, and I don't know if it was because of the way the challenge was set up and they had to actually have a certain person, you know, doing certain things because they're very team oriented.
Yes.
And that's what's, I think, been the benefit for them and why they won and done so well. So now if you have one person that's selected to do something, that might break things down a little bit.
Well, I also think like, well, let's throw this out there as
Sure.
like a hypothetical.
Let's throw it.
Everyone else has been in the circus. They have been able to kind of build some type of endurance and do something. So the ones that have come back are just a little bit stronger
Think so?
than Team Noah. Although
Okay.
Team Noah has been performing really
Sure.
well, they get those rest days. They get the days where they don't have to do anything.
Right.
So I think maybe that's played into the benefit a little bit. Because if you saw when everyone took off, Team Noah were all the ones in the back and everyone's running in like a single file line.
Right.
And although they're all trying to like, you know, one up each other, I think everyone, you know, they've gotten the whole like, okay, don't sprint it out. Keep a pace. Keep going. All right, speed it up when you can. And I think Team Noah just didn't have that as much as everyone else did.
And not only that, but they're not able to work as a complete unit for each leg of this. You know, each task is delegated.
Sure.
So I think that could also be, you know, if they were working all just as a unit, like,
Well, that's what I was saying. That's why I said what I said
Yeah,
earlier, because they are so good as a unit together. And so having to break it down. And I think that's probably done purposely.
Right.
Just to see, like, you know, everyone has to kind of step up. Because it's easy to just, you know, 3 people are doing well and you're just carrying that last person. If those 3 people are strong, you could get through.
Right.
But if every single person has to take a turn, then it becomes a different situation.
right, yeah, it becomes dependent on which person it is. Like when Mark was carrying that water, like he was booking it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, you looked at, speaking of carrying water, Goldie had to carry the judge for her team, and she was struggling. I mean, she's little, and she's probably the smallest. Well, she is the smallest person on her team.
Right.
So having that task, that definitely slowed them up, and it seemed like, and not to jump ahead, but you know, her teammate actually kind of went in on her and was kind of like, "Yo, I don't think you gave it your all."
Man, Mario,
Yeah.
That I wouldn't like. I understand why she got mad because no one knows
Correct.
your, you know, how much your all is. If she feels she gave her all, she gave her all.
And I feel like
And
Mario
he does marathons and all that.
and he's
She
like
doesn't.
24 years old,
You're
and
24.
super young.
You're
yeah.
young. You have it. Like you can't
Right.
tell someone like, you know, you didn't give your all. Well, okay, maybe that's your warm up, but that's her
Right.
all. Like
Right.
You're not going to
You know?
perform the same.
Exactly.
And it's almost like he wanted her to, like, you need to be at the brink of passing out. Like, you didn't pass out, you
Right.
know, then you didn't give it your all.
Right.
Which is not a fair assessment.
No, yeah.
At all.
I think it wasn't fair to say, you know, you didn't give 100%. I think if anything, it was on her for straying from Rourke's plan. You know, he wanted them to go the long route, you know, and so they would have an easier time.
Right.
She made a snap judgment to go with the quicker route, and I think they suffered tremendously for that.
That's an interesting take. It's an interesting take. So going forward, we have Rourke is kind of upset because he actually had a strategy for his team. Speaking of going the long way, and they actually decided to take it the short way, and then kind of messed up on that, and that hurt them because they ended up falling in the last place.
And they fell real far behind.
Really far back. And so I think it's a situation where it was, I mean, you know, they made a decision, and they should have done what he wanted them to do.
Right. And I don't think anyone realized just how much easier the easy solution would be.
Right.
As we saw with the water, you know, with the hard one, you had to get the charcoal and the pebbles and the
Right.
sand, filter the water through a sock.
Right.
With the easy way, you just had to pour from one jug into the other.
Right.
And that was it.
Oh yeah.
And-
Well, it was, dude. It was funny because the difference of the two, like of each of those, like the easy way and the hard,
Right.
was like so vastly different.
Right. Like there was literally no filter component to the easy way.
They had sand, charcoal, bowl, you had the jug, you had a sock that you had to filter. I mean, so then now you're messing up a sock. I mean, it was just all messed up.
Not the sock.
Yeah, it was just all messed up.
But yeah, with the other, there's the filtration component is removed completely.
Well, that's why he even said so himself. He's like, the longer, but he goes, it's going to be extremely easy.
Yeah.
So I was expecting things like that. Like I was expecting them, for the fire one to be like a lighter and just be like, oh, there you go.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Of course, because they want to see who's going to really push it.
Right.
And actually, if you have the endurance, you're going to go the farther
Right.
distance
Yeah,
and just do everything,
Sure.
Who's going to sacrifice the short term for the long term?
Right.
And the thing is, you don't know. Like, if you would have known, like, okay, this is going to be the hard task, this is going to be the easy task ahead of time, I think also that could have helped you gauge. But not knowing that, which purposely was done,
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it made for something like this. You know what else is purposely done? Is in some of these cases, I'm sure John Cena, when he's rapping, he also likes to play golf because he just seems like he's a rapping golfer.
Sure.
Like, I think he can do it all. I mean, I think that's what he does.
He's a Renaissance man.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I think he's too buff.
No, I think he can do
the
it.
swing.
I think he can do it.
I think he's too buff.
I think he can do it. I think
his pecs will get in the way.
you know what? I think he can. But there's a thing called Draftkings, which is amazing, and you get to experience the thrill of a 1-week fantasy golf at DraftKings.com, and there's amazing prizes for you to grab each time you play. So playing is easy. You just pick six golfers before the tournament tees off. You outscore the competition, and you basically win. And with every monster drive, see, I'm saying John Cena. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You see how it ties in? Every monster drive and made putt, you bring closer to payday. So you can choose from all kinds of sports to showcase your winning skills. You can choose baseball, soccer, even MMA. What? And so you have millions of sports fans discover DraftKings, and now it's your turn. So this is the call to action, ladies and gentlemen. You use the code BUZZ at DraftKings.com now, and you get to play for free with your first deposit in this week's fantasy golf contest with $400,000 in prizes. $400,000. And the top prize is $100,000, so you could seriously cash in. That's code BUZZ to play for free and a shot at the $100,000 top prize. Only at DraftKings.com, DraftKings.com. And John Cena's already on it. I'm just saying.
There you go.
That's what he does.
There you go.
I mean, you saw Monster, right?
Absolutely.
It was all up in there. It was all up in there.
I still think no.
You're like, no, he's a rapper.
He comes
Come on.
after me. He's like, we're gonna golf. I'm gonna be like, yo, want to go to Castle Park real quick?
Castle Park.
Castle Park.
It's memory lane today, guys.
It's memory lane. Memory
That's
lane.
where I grew up. Yeah.
Yeah. So we end up, when we get back to this, we have Team Nick is killing it, right? They're still in first, and basically they get down to the fire, right? And at this point, Jim is the designated person. So they went the short route, so they had obviously the hardest part about building the fire. And so Jim is working on it. Team Noah is actually closing in. So they went from last, they kind of brought up, and now they're in second. So they're closing in. So Jim is responsible for building this fire, of course. Team, Nick is helping him out, telling him what to do. He's following directions easily. He kind of gets it going. And then it's literally, it has to snap, the middle
That
portion.
fuse, yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And once it snaps fuse, then that's it. So they're building it up. And really, I'm like, Team Noah's pretty far back. I didn't
That's
think that
what I
they would
thought,
actually catch up.
Right.
I think it's nice to be like, oh, here they come.
Right.
You're John,
Well, like I
your
said, I
boy
was like-
John Cena's like, oh, they're closing in. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, if they make it, I was like, this is all
Exactly.
rigged.
Yeah,
It's all done.
Yeah,
Right.
they can only do so much with
Right.
the editing.
But
Right.
the thing is with the fire, like once you start it and once you start adding, that
Yeah.
thing just
Oh, it's
goes
gonna go.
and
Absolutely.
goes.
It's
So
gonna
like
go.
once I saw that it was made, I was
Yeah.
like, if these people don't have like a
Right.
lighter like in
Right.
their hand, I was like, forget it.
And
We're
did they go?
done.
And I believe they went. Noah's team went the long way, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they would have had an easy fire
yeah, they would have
challenge,
had
Exactly.
an easy fire.
and it probably would have been just either a match or a freaking.
They did have
big
matches.
lighter.
John Cena did
I
mention
think he
that they
said
had
matches and probably it was like bush or
some
brush
bush
or
and just
something
need to
like
light it
that.
up.
So all they had to do was light it. And go.
Okay. But I'm glad for Team Nick because
Definitely.
I think
that celebration after they won
Yeah.
was, I love that.
no, that was dope. That was really dope, and I'm glad for them because number one, for the sake of morale, right? You have, when you have one team that just keeps winning, the morale gets lower. It's like, what are we doing wrong? We're not pulling together. What's the deal? That type of situation. You're going to possibly lose somebody because they have to go into the circus. So I think it was good, and I think their team. I mean, I would have probably rather had team win just because they're down 2
Yeah, just because they're down 2.
It's
Right.
they only got 2 people, so it'd
Right.
been nice to kind of see them not have to worry about going into the circus. But I think as a whole, I think Team Nick did a good job. They worked together, obviously, and Team Rourke. I didn't even realize this. They've been last several times. They were dead last this one, but they've been last several times.
Let's talk about disappointed dad Rourke. Like he was
He pulled
mad.
out
Yeah,
John Cena was like, I've seen that look from my dad. It's like when your dad's like, I'm not mad at you,
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, oh God, it's like God, dagger to the heart. It's like, and he just had that face. He kind of had the disappointed look.
He did.
But then he had the look like,
He was
you
still
dumb, ooh, like he was ready to like tear into them. I don't know how he didn't like right then and there. Like
Right.
he did a little
Could have.
bit,
We just didn't
he was
see
holding
it.
it. He was
but
holding it.
he
Yeah.
they could probably edited it, but it was just I was just like
The way he was.
I wouldn't even want to look at him. I'd be like this. I'd be like,
exactly.
And I
I'd
think
be like, it was her fault.
It's like, I told
didn't do
y'all.
anything.
I told y'all from the beginning.
I think the main reason too. I don't think it was necessarily they became in last, but it was because they didn't follow his directions.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
If they would have followed his direction and still, I don't think it would have been as bad. Still would have been disappointed.
Right.
But the fact that you didn't listen to me, and then he's talking to Hayes, and it's like, what happened? And she's like, oh well, we just da da da. And I was like, that's not what I said.
Right.
And so the fact you don't follow directions and then you come in last, all bad. Disappointed
That was
dad
rough.
Rourke for sure.
That was real rough.
Disappointed dad Rourke. And then Hayes, she gets emotional. They get back. And she's got Cam there for her.
Man.
Oh, wait.
You know
I
what?
love it, though. I love it. Like, wait, but
We should do like you know what next season should be? Couples American Grit.
Couples American
You
Grit.
know?
Like if we do that, I'm gonna go on it.
You're
And
gonna
I'm
go on it?
Yeah, I would totally do it. But
we could do it.
let's do.
That's
I
fine.
Let's do
think
it.
we should there
Yeah.
should be a couples American
Couples
Grit
American
because it's
Grit.
just gonna end up being couples and
Yeah.
Cam is so. I don't know. He's like a button.
So,
You're like a little button.
what does that mean?
so
He's
cute,
a button. It's like a button.
Like I don't
I've
know
never heard
why
anyone, a
I
man
don't-
compared to as a button.
Well, it goes to show you how I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't know what she really finds in him. Not saying that there's anything wrong with him.
He's a
but
button.
he's a button, but it's just like when we were watching it, and he's like,
Yeah.
"I'm John Cena's best friend." I was like, "That's kind of
That was
really
hilarious.
creepy." Like,
That-
I can see me doing that.
That was not creepy.
But like, dude, you're like mic'd up. You
That
know
was
they're gonna
creepy,
hear
though.
everything, and then you're walking into the bathroom and saying it like, "I'm John Cena's best friend."
No
like, literally,
way.
like he's like that crazy cat chick on the internet that's like,
The dude, my man's only 21. He grew up watching John Cena.
Right.
That's not creepy. It's not creepy.
It
He's
is
just
wait,
excited.
No, it is creepy.
He's just excited.
I mean, you can
Is that
understand
Blades
where
of
it's coming
Glory
from.
style? Like
What's
the guy in Blades of Glory that's all obsessed with them?
Oh yeah. What was that? Nick Swartzen?
No, that was Will Ferrell and John Heder.
No,
yeah.
I'm saying, but the guy that was
the
upset.
guy.
Was it
Yeah.
Nick? It was
That's
Nick
exactly
Swartzen.
you know
right.
what it was
Yeah.
kind of
exactly
like?
right.
You know, in Not Another Teen Movie,
Uh-huh.
the guy who makes little Janie
Oh,
out of Cheney
come
hair.
on.
Oh yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Y'all are too much.
Yes,
Y'all are too
come
much.
on, come on.
And,
If I hear you going into the bathroom saying like,
Guy,
"I'm Zipper's best
guy
friend,"
can't even be this.
First
can't
of
even be
all,
excited.
it was weird. Let's just go on record. It was weird. I understand it. I'm not saying I don't understand it, but it was a little weird, and they showed it because it was weird. I'm just saying they could have left it out, but it was weird. And like,
was.
let's show this. How weird
That's
this
why they
is.
did it. It's weird.
Right, but I think it was. I'm more focused on the fact that he was like being there for her, and it was just. I mean, it was cute. It was cute, but it's just so funny because the show is like American Grit, and she's just like
And the whole reason she's so attracted to him is
Yeah.
because he's constantly smiling and he's always happy.
Right. And she,
That
she was
kinda
feeling
bothers me
bad
sometimes.
because she disappointed, and she was always like she said it was like disappointing her own father,
Right.
who was of course in the military, and he was there to comfort her. And they show how they have the arms interlocked and
I'm here. For
yeah.
you.
I thought they were gonna kiss.
I want him to get.
yeah.
I want
That's
him to
what I
get
thought
like,
because
They're waiting
he
for
was-
that. They're waiting
He-
for that.
the dreamy eyes, like she was just like, "Oh my gosh, look at you, you're so cute," and do. And I thought, like, I think if he would have like went for it, I think she would have
Oh,
reciprocated.
for sure.
she's
She
in
would
the button
reciprocate it.
collecting.
Yeah, she's in the buttons.
That's
I mean,
what it is. She's in the
in the
buttons,
buttons.
'cause
That's what
I
it
don't-
is. Yeah. Anyway,
And he's almost a decade her junior.
Yeah.
That's true.
He's 21,
That's true.
she's 30.
Oh man, yeah.
Cougar.
Cam,
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
he's got that young boy game.
AJ nothing but a number.
John Cena is his best friend. How can he lose? I'm just saying.
Could you imagine when he sees that? He's gonna be like,
oh my god,
Guy got to share a bro hug with his hero.
Right, exactly.
I ain't mad at him.
you know what? I'm not gonna lie, because when I saw like one of my idols, I just stared at her while talking to her. I was like,
you know, you can't control your
but I didn't say we were
you
best
can't.
friends.
But did you go into the bathroom and say that?
No,
Exactly.
I didn't.
That's all I'm saying.
No.
That's all I'm saying. So next we see Goldie and Mario. Of course, as we said before, they were arguing, and Mario was kind of going in on Goldie, saying, you know, look, you know, you didn't give it your all, and all this kind of stuff, and which was not fair, obviously.
Right.
And I do like that they did make up, you know, after having a pep talk from Rourke. And Rourke recognized where his team was. He's like, look, let me talk to them.
But up until that point, though, things got real heated.
Oh, absolutely.
We got slamming doors.
Oh, yeah. Goldie
breaking
was
doors.
not having
I like
Goldie
when
was
she
not
said
having
that.
it.
She's like, I slam doors, so I don't slam people's faces. I was like, see, someone sees my logic.
No,
slammed the door.
She did. She was not having it. And I felt her. You know, I definitely felt her. And you could tell too, she's a small person. You could tell that people have come at her, you know, probably her whole life.
Sure. And I mean, hell, when it comes down to it, she's been to the circus. Mario hasn't.
Correct.
Like, she's got one up on her.
That's
Exactly.
my thing. I would have been like, when you go to the circus, then you come and talk to me. Like, that would have been my thing.
Until then, get out of my face.
You know?
Before I punch some more doors to relieve my stress. But I do like I said, how Rourke came in as the, you know, the dad coach, you know, his cadre position, and kind of just talked to them, gave them a good pep talk. I think they needed that, you know, especially after, again, losing, being in last place for the, you know, umpteenth time. So it was good for that. And then they made up, which was good. You know, it was good because you can't have that dissension going on.
Right.
Because it's going to kill your team.
Absolutely.
You know, it's going to be like a cancer.
Especially when you've been coming in last place so much.
It's just going to keep happening.
No room
because
for
then
that.
people just like, I don't care, you know. And so this is also interesting. And we were talking about this and watching it. So we have Team Noah, right? This is their first time having to go into the circus.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they've worked well as a team, you know, all this kind of stuff. And they've been, you know, hunky-dory because they've been winning, right?
Exactly. They got nothing to worry about.
Right. Now they have to go in the circus. All of a sudden, everybody has these excuses. Oh, yeah, I'm not really an athlete. Like that.
I'm not an athlete.
Like, I just
lost
don't,
a ton
you know,
of weight.
I
did this.
you know.
And you know what? And like, I told him, I was like,
Yeah.
I called that.
Right.
I was like, I did call that. I was like, but you can't fault them because I would be the same way.
Well, I mean, you want to state your case, right?
Exactly. You want
Absolutely.
to. You want to say yes, I can do it.
Yeah, and I don't
You're
think they were saying those things to say like, oh, I shouldn't go to the circus.
Oh no, they were.
No, I don't think
I don't know,
so.
I would have been like, look, I am a fighter. I am this, but I don't have much endurance. Just letting you know. So whatever decision you
Voice of
make,
my
it's
concern.
all based on
Right.
The way it looked to me is, to be honest, because there's been times where people have, you know, like, hey, what do you feel? Da, da, da. Well, da, 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 like you said, yeah, I'm not really getting endurance, but if you want me to go in, I'm going to go in and I'm going to come back.
Sure.
You know, it was that attitude. The attitude was that of like, I don't want to go in. Like, I'm scared to go in. Like every single person that was, you know, he talked to, and they all gave their, you know, what their reasoning were. I think somebody said they had carpal tunnel or something like that.
I have carpal tunnel. I have carpal tunnel. I'm going to use that. I can't do it, guys. I got carpal tunnel.
I would if I could.
I mean, but it literally
rooting
did.
y'all on.
I would if I could, but I got an ingrown toenail. You
I'm
know,
just saying,
I can't
you know.
do much.
You know, I got them shin splints from back in '85.
I don't know. I didn't get the feeling they were saying like, oh, I shouldn't. I think they were just saying like, if I do, I'll be concerned because of this. Yeah.
Okay.
You're thinking
That's a way to
optimistically.
look at it.
I like the way I'm looking at it. Maybe
Come
it's just
on,
the
get
way.
on the negative Nancy parade.
Maybe it's just the
Gosh.
way they edited it. I mean, that could be it. But it just appeared that no one seemed, you know, thrilled about going in. Enthusiastic about going in. Felt that they could go in and kill it, crush it, like other people have shown.
I think Mark was the only one that was going in like, When he said, "I hope there's gonna be elephants in giraffes."
Yeah, like he was the one that's most lighthearted about it.
Sure.
The lumberjack man,
Right,
brawny
exactly.
man.
Right. Well, he just seems like he's cool people all around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd want to just hang out
I
with
want
him.
to go have a beer with him.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
He makes me want to have a beer.
Yeah, have a
dude's
nice
dope,
burger.
yeah.
Yeah, he's just and talk to him and just laugh. So that being said, we get over to what the circus is looking like, and so we have Team T had to pick Tony,
Right.
because
At this point, they just have to alternate.
exactly just
Yeah,
have to
because
alternate.
we got one
Just
last
has
week.
to. Rourke ended up picking Mario, which I think was a good choice because I think out of everyone that he had, I think no matter what the challenge was going to be, especially the endurance portion,
Right.
he would be able to, he seemed like he would be the best fit for anything that was going to happen. So I thought that was a good choice for him. And then Noah picked Lisa. What do you think about Noah's pick?
That was I felt like he was kind of, and I think it's hard to call her the weak link because it's such a strong team overall.
Right.
But I think he was looking to kind of fortify her and bring her up to the level of the rest of the team.
Okay.
I can see that the weak link, but I can also see him, like how he said he did it to give her that boost of confidence.
Exactly,
So I think he
yeah.
really did think like she's gonna push through, and then this is just gonna make her work like 10 times harder.
Right.
But you can tell, you can lead a horse to water, but it's up to the horse to drink it.
Sure.
And she just
As I take this.
I just felt like she went in there and she's like, yeah, he believes in me, but she did not. She's like, I'm not going to do this because, I mean, the way she was like doing those last sprints, like she just wasn't pushing it. Like, I felt like she was dragging it. And I know I can't say anything. Trust me, those, like I said, those reminded me of suicides and I hated those.
Sure.
But I just felt like there was no, like, I saw her doing it, but I didn't see her like.
She didn't
I
have
see
any
that
fire
she
behind it. It
wanted.
seemed like
I
she
didn't
was
see
really
that she
trying
like.
to-
She didn't want it, Coach. She didn't want it. No.
I don't agree with that at
Interesting.
all.
No.
I think after 28 circuits of that,
Yeah.
I think she was going as hard as she possibly
Yeah.
could have.
Well,
and
yeah.
I think it just looked like that by comparison because
Sure.
Mario and Tony
still-
being the NFL player and
Right.
Mario being the triathlete,
Right.
they had no problem.
But like I was telling him, the way they edited the show, they focused it so much on how Tony can't run
Right.
and he has no endurance. So when you got to that challenge, you were like, oh, he's not going to do it.
Tony's
He's
not
not
gonna
going to
do
be able to do it.
Well, and not to jump too far ahead, but I think it all came down to the fact that she didn't get a break either.
She did not get a break, but the break was like one sprint.
True.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like a long break. Like some of the other breaks have been very
I
much.
was
Like,
kind of
they're like-
I was surprised at that.
Yeah.
How quick
They were
that
like
was.
5 minutes or.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like, okay, you have to go now, and then Tony went, and then you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there wasn't
to me,
too much of
it
a difference.
wasn't
Yeah,
too
that's
much
true.
of an advantage.
That's true. That's true.
I think for her, I was just surprised because she's the marathon runner, correct?
Right.
And so my thing is, this is a running challenge, you know.
But
it's not
is
just a running
This was the
challenge.
definition of a sprint, not a marathon.
Correct. That is correct. However, I agree with that. But in comparison, and you brought up Tony, and we were talking about that. Tony, I feel like when it came down to some of the other things that he was doing that had to do with running, he did not do well. Just like the last freaking challenge that they had to do, the evolution, when it seemed like Yvette was carrying him almost
Right.
like, come on, Tony, come
Right.
on, you know. And so granted, that's, longer distance running and that's not what he's good at. But to me, I just felt like I put that in that same category. And that's why I was thinking like, okay, when I look at what it's looking like and it's going to be running back and forth, then I'm thinking like she definitely should have the advantage. Alicia would.
Yeah, and
I
that's
never thought
what,
she had the advantage.
That's
though.
what I was thinking in the moment. Now that I've gotten a chance to look back on it in retrospect, I think that's exactly what it is. I think obviously she's better with longer distances.
Sure.
He's better with more explosive sprints.
Exactly.
Right.
She
Yeah.
knows how to pace herself, whereas he doesn't because he was tiring himself out in the beginning of the challenge.
And
Like
Yvette,
I said,
I love Yvette, just like she was having none of his lagging.
Oh no.
Well-
she's like, if you don't get up, like,
well, but then I saw I had a problem with that too because it's like there's a difference between like motivating someone and then just like
There's only so many times you can tell someone to get their ass in gear before it's like...
Sure.
Before it's like, dude, just come on, I'm here with you. Like run behind him, yell at him because if I were Tony, I would have turned around at Yvette and I would have cussed her out.
No, I feel
So
ya.
the words that would have been coming
I
out
feel
of my
ya.
mouth, because if it's one thing I hate, it's running.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's another thing I hate, it's someone yelling at me and telling me to do something. So put the two together and I
Right.
am not a happy camper.
Sure.
So it's like, because when she was running, he wasn't doing that to her. He's like, come on, Yvette, we got it. And
Mm-hmm.
I just...
I think
she had good intentions,
she
but
was
it just was
trying-
not coming out.
Right,
And
she
I,
was-
I wouldn't have had it.
She
so.
was trying to be like the drill sergeant, but like the execution was not.
Yeah,
not good.
kudos
Not
to him for
quite
not
there.
snapping, because I would have snapped.
Right.
I think too. I think again because we're talking about, what's going on with their dynamic. It's been the two of them for a minute now, and he's been lagging. In some of these challenges, even when it was more of them, and they had more of a full team,
Right.
he still would lag when it came down to the endurance type stuff.
Well, both of them. If you look at them out of that whole team,
Mm-hmm.
they would be considered the weakest.
Well, sure, but I'm saying him specifically, Tony. And I'm saying if you've been dealing with this ongoing every single time, then at some point you're just like, look, okay,
Right.
let's get it together. Again, I'm not saying that's going to be the best method, but I could see how you could just get frustrated and be like, Tony, again, like if you don't hurry up, like
Right.
it's just, come on, let's go.
But cut him some slack. He had the 5-gallon jug.
That's true.
Also
That's
true.
I mean, look, girl, I know what it's like to run with what you got on the bottom half. Trust me, I know. But it is nothing like running with a 5-gallon thing.
Right,
Like,
right.
show just a little bit of compassion. Like, it's like push him and get on him. But at the same time, it's like realize what he's doing.
Right.
He doesn't have a 1-liter bottle. No, it is 5 gallons.
It's 1 liter bottle. He's not carrying a 1 liter bottle.
know?
Come on now. He's
No, I
dragging
feel you.
5 gallons. No, I understand what you're saying, and it could go both ways. I think it was just more of a frustration. I think she
Yeah.
definitely cares for him, and I don't think it's anything out of spite. I think when you're in the moment and literally you're just like, we want to win.
And when you're that exhausted,
Yeah,
it's,
you just wanna win. You haven't
decorum
won.
kind of goes out the window.
They haven't won yet, and they
Sure.
wanted to win, and it's like they know it's like anytime you don't win, you got to go into that circus.
I think if they do win, and when they do win, I'll cry.
Right, absolutely.
cry.
That's gonna be a
Yeah, an
moment.
emotional
I'll
moment.
just,
That's gonna
I'll just
be
be
a
so
moment.
like, and then I'll cry.
Right.
They have good starts. They've been
Right.
first before a couple of different times. It's just like when it gets down to the end, they can't execute.
I just feel when it comes, I think what T needs to work on with them is their skills to figure things out, because they get there and they have everything, and it's always them that you see everyone working, and they're working, but then they stop right in the middle. And they're looking, and they're kind of like a deer in the
Right.
headlights. Like there's a question mark right above their head,
Right.
and then it gives them a little bit, and then light bulb goes off. Whereas everyone else, they're sharp and they're on it.
But also they have more people, so they have more people that can give input and information. And if somebody is weak in some area, you have somebody that's going to be able to kind
Right.
of cover
So
that.
that's why I'm saying in T's, she should be focusing on that. She should be like, okay, they could do it physically. Now let me get in there mentally, so
Right.
we could do things to help them, and they can actually win a challenge.
Sure.
Hopefully. Well, we'll see. But it does get down to the circus, and of course we were mentioning, how going back and forth, and it started off at 20 seconds. So that 20 seconds, and basically it went where they had to go down, touch the spot, and then come back within that time frame. So if they did it fast, then they can kind of rest and then
Right.
go at it again. But then after a certain amount of times, it goes to 15 seconds. They each did that, and then it got down to 10, and that's where Lisa just gassed out.
It was
Yeah.
She just gassed out, and I really think she gave it her all. Like I don't think she cheated herself or
Sure.
anything like that. I think she gave it her all, but like you said, if she's a marathon runner, she's not good at short distances.
I mean, it was exhausting just
Yeah.
watching that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Those are no joke.
I-
Especially the fact that they were going up and down the ramp.
Sure.
When I
too.
saw that it was the hill, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah.
This
Like,
one was almost as bad as the one where they had to dunk into the ice and they had to
Right,
get
right,
up
right.
and do the up downs.
I did love, like, to rewind a little bit. I love the girls of the grit, where the girls that have gone to the
Yes,
circus kind of
yes.
all banded together.
That
to
was
help,
dope.
To help
Yeah.
Lisa and kind of boost her morale going into
I think,
this.
but I
Absolutely.
think she needed that, and I think
Yeah.
She did.
At the end of the day, she really needed that challenge. She needed to go into the circus. She even needed the show,
Right.
Because she doesn't give herself much credit.
Sure.
Because she says, "Oh, I'm proud of my success. I'm proud of my success," but I don't believe it when you say it.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
she really, really did need this. So I mean, I'm sad that she lost, and maybe that's why it was hard for me to believe that she really I know that she gave her all, but it was hard to see it. Like
see
I
it.
didn't see it in her face. I didn't see it in her eyes. Like everyone else is like hungry. Like you see it
You
that
wanted
they
her
want
to
it.
pass out.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. I wanted her throwing up.
You're acting like Mario.
It's hard.
I wanted her throwing up.
Yeah, it's hard comparatively speaking when we've seen people literally collapse
right.
before.
Oh, yeah.
That even if she's just walking in her own power, it's like, oh, she could have done more.
She could have done more.
Could have done more.
And really, it wasn't one of those things where
you three,
she
let's
literally
go, sprint.
ran
I'm
out of
like,
time. That's the
I'll
thing.
forfeit right before I start.
Yeah, but no, it was she just ran out of time. Like she's going. It's not like she's stopping. I didn't see her.
And I think
stop.
Yeah,
at
this
any
was one
point.
of those things where the clock was really like.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much like you giving out, but like
Right.
it could come down to 1 single second.
Sure,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's it. So I mean, again, it was tough. It was definitely tough. One thing that I didn't know up to this point is when she was talking to John Cena and he was doing the pep talk like he does with the people going in. How she said she watched both of her parents die.
That was.
Oh right.
That was crazy.
That was very.
I don't remember hearing that. And to say, I mean, that's huge.
Right, absolutely.
You watched both of your parents die? Like, that's a big thing. And to me, that gave me just more respect for her and what she's about because of, what she's had to overcome.
Sure.
And that's, I mean, it just says a lot. It just
And
says a lot.
I love that story of seeing the soldier on the hill. that
Yeah,
she
and
told,
saying,
Right.
for dad. I thought that was.
Exactly.
I wouldn't. I mean, we all know. I mean, I can't. Like, I'm at loss for words when she's like,
right.
I watched both of my parents die. I was like,
Right.
my God.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
No.
I can't even imagine. I can't even
Absolutely not.
fathom. Like
Absolutely not.
that. I mean, she should have a lot more confidence in herself than she does.
Absolutely.
Because to get through that, I mean,
Yeah. Again, it says a lot. And maybe that's just something she's harboring because, of insecurities or what have you. But like you said, I do like it. And I'm glad you brought that up because I had missed that. But the girls of the grit coming through and supporting her. And I saw the writing on her hand.
Yeah.
And how that, just all of that coming together. I think that helped and at least showed her. And even when she was done and how she felt, like she was still positive about it. Because I think she gave it her all. And I think she was happy with what she did.
right.
And so that's what it was. But right before we quit, I think it's good to get into predictions because I have some good stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Boom.
Let's do it.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
He was like at church. He was like,
So good. Feel it.
Oh, praise the
Feel it in your bones.
Hallelujah. No. All right. So now Team Noah lost someone. So I'm just curious, what do you guys think regarding Team Noah and if this is going to shake them up and if they possibly will get into a losing streak?
Man, that's interesting. I think it'll shake them up. I think it'll shake them up for sure. I think they're gonna see like, oh, like it is possible for us to lose one of these things. Now we ain't playing around.
Right.
I think before they may have been resting on their laurels a little bit. Now that they've finally gotten a taste of the circus.
Sure. And lost somebody in the circus.
Exactly. Yeah. Not even
On
that.
top.
Yeah. On top
Yeah.
of that. I think it'll light a fire under their ass for sure.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think so much a losing streak. I just think it
But
is
not
gonna,
necessarily go right back to winning.
right. I don't think it's
Because
gonna be a
literally losing is
streak.
second place.
Yeah,
Like, let's
so
keep it real.
Right.
I think they'll probably be in second place again. And then maybe they'll come back and, they'll win. But I think now after this, it is going to be alternating teams that win.
Right.
So it's going to be Nick or
Okay.
Rourke or
Okay.
no. So it's not going to be.
It's going to be more even, you think?
Yes, it's going to be more even. Now, what I would want to see is Rourke because the preview that they showed, like the intense,
Oh,
punishment
Oh,
that
right.
he's
Yeah.
making him
Face
do.
and yeah.
Like, I mean, I think he feels like that's his last resort. And if they can get through that and you can get through my training,
Sure.
we can get through it. So I think maybe this is going to be the episode where Team Rourke wins. And then maybe the episode
Interesting,
after
okay.
that, Noah will come back.
Interesting. I think, just because, again, just my heart, I want Team T to take a W.
Sure.
Like, I want them to take a W.
We all do.
Yeah. I
It'd be
think,
great
reality.
to see him taking it
I
off,
think,
right?
because I want to cry with you. I'm going to cry with you. We're going to hold hands and we're going to cry
good,
together.
Good.
But I
we
do
have
think...
I'm just throwing it out there.
all of that, sure. I do think, though, because of this not being, and what I'm talking about is Tony, right? Him going into this circus, this was his circuit to lose, right? I thought he was favored to lose just because of the sheer nature of the circus. And even T was just like, yo, I don't know, with this whole situation. She was kind of doubtful. So I think that this will actually put some fire under him. And I think he'll match up because Yvette is super intense.
She is.
She's super intense, and he's not as intense in her. And because as intense as her, and because it's only the two of them, they need to match that up. And so I think that'll put some fire under him and kind of make them
American.
Go back to the comments.
There you go.
You see what I'm
It writes
saying?
itself, guys.
It's
Season 2.
Fox,
Season 2.
come on. I'm
Couples
right
of
here.
American Girl.
I have got ideas for you.
Got this. Oh man. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes down. But I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. But I do like the fact that it's kind of on an even keel now. So it can be any person's game, you know, when it comes down to it. So because there's going to be a person lost every single time.
Right.
So it's going to get down to it.
So there is going to be a team that ends up only having 2, just like Team T.
Possibly. Well, everyone's
at 3.
Well,
and
except
Team
then,
T
right. But I'm saying
2.
somebody could still keep all 3.
Right, exactly.
So it still could be 3.
So,
yeah. So, you know, 750,000. Or it could just get down to 1. You know, it just all depends how it shakes out.
Right.
But I think it'll even out. I think this will be it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's been our show. We want to thank you so much for tuning in and being with us here for American Grit. Make sure you tune in next week because we might have a guest. I'm just saying. We might have a guest. We had a guest last week. Maria, shout out to her. So we might have a guest next week. But in order to know for sure, you got to tune in. Also, make sure you go on there and rate us 5 stars because we don't care about the rest of them. Just 5. That's all we want. Oh, hands go up. Hands go up. Praise them. I've been your host, Lem Gonsalves. You can find me always at the Poet Saint. Yvette, where you at, girl?
I am at Sports in Sass, so I'm going to spell it out for you guys. SPORTSNSASSS.
There you go.
Ty Matthews.
Y'all can find me on Twitter, on Instagram at Ty Matthews PMA. Various other after shows: Monday Night Raw, Houdini and Doyle, and Lucha Underground. So check it.
Check it. 1,
Check
2.
it.
Like, you know, 1, 2. Trump, John Cena on the mic. Psych.
Couples.
We out.
American Grit.
See you next week, y'all.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.